CEO collapses at his own charity gala, and the only person who can save him is the nurse he fired 2 years ago. Now she holds his life and his daughter's future in her hands. Sometimes the strongest hearts are the most broken. A magnificent charity gala is in full swing. Chandeliers sparkle above elegantly dressed guests as diamonds catch the light and champagne flows freely. The elite of society have gathered tonight not just to see and be seen, but to open their checkbooks for children in need. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the CEO of Rhodes Hospitality Group, Mr. Evan Rhodes. Evan Rhodes walks confidently to center stage, his tall, commanding presence drawing all eyes in the room. At 42, he is the picture of success. Handsome, powerful, and dressed in a perfectly tailored tuxedo that speaks of wealth without saying a word. Applause fills the grand hall as he takes his position at the podium. "Good evening, everyone." His deep, confident voice resonates through the space. "I'm honored to be here tonight among friends and colleagues who share my commitment to making a difference." His face is perfectly composed, the epitome of power and control. Not a hair out of place, not a hint of doubt in his expression. As the CEO of Rhodes Hospitality Group, I believe social responsibility isn't optional, it's mandatory. That's why tonight, I'm proud to announce that the Rhodes Foundation is committing $10 million to build 5 medical centers in underserved communities. In the front row, 7-year-old Ellie Rhodes watches her father adoringly. Pretty in a pink dress, her innocent eyes filled with pride. Next to her sits her nanny, prim and attentive, making sure the little girl behaves appropriately at such a prestigious event. Evan continues with unwavering confidence. "With these $10 million, we will change." Without warning, his hand suddenly trembles on the podium. A bead of sweat trickles down his temple. His pupils dilate rapidly as his breathing becomes shallow and labored. Ellie," he gasps, his voice suddenly weak, barely audible. The microphone slips from Evan's grasp, hitting the stage floor with a loud crash and piercing feedback. His towering frame sways momentarily, then collapses to the stage with a heavy thud. The crowd erupts in shocked gasps and exclamations. "Oh my God, what's happening to Rhodes? Keep rolling, this is going viral." Camera flashes intensify as smartphones rise to capture the moment when one of America's most powerful CEOs lies helpless. In the front row, Ellie's face transforms from admiration to pure terror. "Daddy, don't leave me like Mommy did," she screams, desperately, tears streaming down her cherubic face. She breaks free from her nanny's grasp, running toward the stage in panic. "Ellie, wait!" the nanny calls after her, but the child is beyond hearing. At the beverage service area, Nora Bennett is serving drinks in her simple but elegant black dress. At 35, she possesses a natural beauty that needs no enhancement. Her head snaps up at the commotion, and her eyes widen as she recognizes a medical emergency. Professional instinct takes over immediately. "I'm a nurse. Let me through," she calls, out with unexpected authority. Nora moves rapidly through the crowd, pushing past frozen onlookers, vaulting over a small decorative barrier, her dress billowing as she runs. "Move, please, medical emergency," she commands, her voice cutting through the chaos. She reaches the stage steps, taking them 2 at a time, only to be intercepted by security. "Ma'am, you can't go up there." A guard steps into her path. "He's in cardiac distress. Every second counts. Move!" Nora responds with fierce determination. Without waiting for permission, she pushes past the guard and rushes to Evan's side, immediately dropping to her knees beside him. Her trained hands move with precise, life-saving movements, checking his pulse at the neck, turning him into the recovery position, loosening his tie and collar, tilting his head to maintain an open airway. "Call 911 immediately," she directs nearby staff with commanding presence. "Tell them possible cardiac event, mid-40s male, currently unconscious with pulse." Then to the audience, "Please step back, give him air, and turn those cameras off." The crowd backs up slightly, but cameras continue to flash, recording every moment of the powerful CEO's vulnerability. Ellie reaches the stage, breaks through a line of people and throws herself down beside her father. "Daddy, wake up! Please wake up!" she sobs hysterically. small hands clutching at his sleeve. While continuing to monitor Evan, Nora uses one arm to pull Ellie into a protective embrace, shielding her from both the frightening sight of her unconscious father and the intrusive camera flashes. "Listen to me, sweetheart." Nora's voice softens but remains intensely reassuring. "Your daddy's heart is very tired, but I won't let him go. I promise you." Her hand stays on Evan's wrist, monitoring his pulse while her other arm holds Ellie. Close. From Evan's perspective, a blurry, unfocused view emerges. The image of Nora holding his daughter strikes him as strangely familiar, reminiscent of a family portrait he once treasured. His eyes flutter briefly with a flicker of recognition, then close again. In the distance, sirens begin to wail, growing steadily louder as help approaches. The scene from above reveals the triangle formed by the three bodies against the chaotic backdrop of the gala. Evan lying still, Nora kneeling protectively, Ellie clinging to both of them. In one heartbeat, everything changed. For a man who controlled everything, for a child who'd already lost too much, and for a woman who was only supposed to be passing through. The sirens reach their peak as paramedics burst through the doors, rushing toward the stage with their equipment. In an exclusive hospital suite, Evan lies unconscious, an IV in his arm and monitoring equipment beeping steadily beside him. Premium medical care at its finest, yet it can't mask the vulnerability of the man in the bed. His eyes open slowly, disorientation giving way to confusion, then irritation. He attempts to sit up, wincing at the sudden headache. Dr. Anderson, a distinguished physician with silver temples, approaches the bed with a tablet in hand. "Mr. Rhodes, please remain still. You've experienced a severe collapse." "How long have I been here?" Evan demands, voice raspy but already regaining its commanding edge. "Nearly 24 hours. You were severely dehydrated and exhausted. Your heart showed signs of stress that deeply concern me." The EKG indicates. Evan cuts him off sharply. "I don't need the details. When can I leave?" Dr. Anderson's expression grows grave. "Mr. Rhodes, this wasn't just fatigue. You're displaying early warning signs of potential cardiac failure. Your blood pressure is dangerously high, and your stress levels are off the charts. Without significant lifestyle changes, you're looking at a 70% risk of a major cardiac event within 5 years. Evan scoffs, already reaching to remove the IV. "I've heard these scare tactics before, doctor. I run 6 companies. Stress comes with the territory." The door opens, and Nora enters with Ellie. The child's face lights up. "Daddy, you're awake." She rushes forward, climbing onto the bed to hug him. Evan's expression softens momentarily as he embraces his daughter, but hardens again when he notices Nora. "Who are you? Why is my daughter with you?" he asks coldly. "I'm Nora Bennett, the volunteer. Nurse from the event. Ellie wouldn't leave your side last night, and your household staff asked me to stay with her since she seemed comfortable with me." Evan's jaw tightens. "Well, I'm awake now, so that won't be necessary anymore." "Daddy? No," Ellie protests. "Miss Nora is nice. She told me stories and promised you'd be okay." "Ellie," Evan's tone softens for his daughter, "I don't need anyone's help. We're fine on our own, just like always." Nora observes quietly before speaking. "Mr. Rhodes' children are remarkably perceptive. Sometimes they see what we try to hide from ourselves." Evan glares. "I don't need philosophy from a volunteer nurse." Without flinching, Nora responds, "The answer you're looking for isn't in boardrooms, Mr. Rhodes. It's right beside you." She glances meaningfully at Ellie, who clings to her father's arm. The doctor interjects, "Mr. Rhodes, I strongly advise against leaving. We need to run more tests and schedule them for next week," Evan dismisses, already removing monitoring cables. "I have a company to run." Nora steps forward. "You know, the human body has its own way of sending messages when we're on the wrong path. It will keep signaling until you listen. The question is, how serious does the message need to be before you pay attention?" For a moment, Evan pauses, actually seeing Nora for the first time. Not as an intruder, but as someone who speaks an uncomfortable truth. Vulnerability flickers across his face before his walls go back up. "I've been managing just fine for 2 years without anyone's advice," he says, but the edge in his voice has dulled slightly. "Daddy," Ellie whispers, "please don't be mad at Miss Nora. She saved you. In that moment, something shifts in Evan's eyes. The realization that his daughter witnessed his collapse, that she feared losing him like she lost her mother. It's a crack in his perfectly constructed armor. 3 days later, Evan is back at home in his sprawling penthouse apartment. Despite doctor's orders, he's surrounded by laptops and phones, barking orders during a video conference while Ellie plays quietly in the corner of his home office. The doorbell rings. Evan's housekeeper appears at the office door. "Mr. Rhodes, there's a Ms. Bennett here to see Ellie. She brought some books and—" "Send her away," Evan interrupts, not looking up from his screen. The housekeeper hesitates. "Sir, Miss Ellie has been asking for her since yesterday. She said—" "Ms. Bennett promised to bring her a special present." Ellie perks up immediately. "Miss Nora is here, Daddy, please?" Evan sighs deeply, pinching the bridge of his nose. "Fine. 10 minutes, in the living room." Minutes later, Nora enters the living room where Ellie waits excitedly. She carries a small tote bag. Evan stands in the doorway, arms crossed, observing. "Miss Nora!" Ellie launches herself at the woman. Nora hugs her warmly. "Hello, sunshine. I brought you something special." She reaches into her bag and pulls out a children's book about the human heart and a small teddy bear wearing a doctor's coat. "This is Dr. Hartwell," Nora explains, handing the bear to Ellie. "He's very good at listening to worries and making people feel better." Ellie clutches the bear tightly. "Can he make Daddy's heart better too?" Evan shifts uncomfortably in the doorway. Nora smiles gently. "Well, your daddy's heart is strong, but even strong hearts need care sometimes." Evan steps forward, irritation visible. "Ms. Bennett, I appreciate the gesture, but Ellie has plenty of toys." "It's not just a toy," Nora replies calmly. "It's a way for Ellie to process what happened. Children need tools to understand scary experiences." Evan scoffs. "And what do you know about hearts, let alone parenting?" Ellie hugs Dr. Hartwell tighter. "Daddy, don't be mean." Something flashes in Nora's eyes, not anger but a deep resolve. "Actually, Mr. Rhodes, I know quite a bit about hearts. I was an emergency cardiac nurse for 8 years before I became a community health nurse." Evan raises an eyebrow, surprised. "And as for your second question," Nora continues steadily, "I know that grief affects children differently than adults. I know that sometimes they need permission to be scared for the people they love." "Ellie, sweetie." Nora turns to the girl. "Why don't you take Dr. Hartwell to meet your other toys? I need to talk to your dad about grown-up things for a minute." Once Ellie leaves, Nora's demeanor changes subtly. Professional, direct. "Mr. Rhodes, I didn't come here to overstep. I came because your daughter called me 3 times from your housekeeper's phone, crying because she's afraid you'll collapse." Again, Evan's composure slips. "She what?" "She lost her mother, Mr. Rhodes. Now she's terrified of losing you too." The collapse triggered all that fear. Evan runs a hand through his hair, momentarily stripped of his CEO persona. "I didn't realize. Children don't always tell us what they're feeling. They show us." Evan studies Nora with new interest. "You said you were a cardiac nurse, past tense. Why'd you leave?" Nora's expression tightens, almost imperceptibly. "I reported a hospital administrator for covering up a patient death due to negligence. 3 months later, I was let go for performance issues that hadn't existed before my report." "You threw away your career over one incident?" Evan asks incredulously. "I honored my oath," Nora corrects him firmly. "Some promises are worth keeping, even at great cost." Their eyes meet, 2 strong-willed individuals recognizing something in each other. Evan's phone rings, breaking the moment. "I need to take this," he says, already reaching for it. Nora nods, gathering her bag. "Of course, I'll say goodbye to Ellie." As she walks away, Evan calls after her. "Ms. Bennett, thank you for what you did at the gala." Nora turns, offering a small smile. "Just doing my job, Mr. Rhodes." "Evan," he says, surprising himself. "My name is Evan." "Evan," she repeats softly before leaving, the name hanging in the air like a bridge beginning to form between them. 2 weeks later, the lobby of the Department of Child Welfare. Evan sits rigidly in an uncomfortable chair, his lawyer beside him. His fingers drum nervously on his knee, a rare display of anxiety from the typically composed CEO. A stern-faced social worker, Ms. Graves, sits across from them, reviewing a thick file. "Mr. Rhodes, we've received concerning reports about your health condition and your ability to provide stable care for Ellie," she states without preamble. Evan leans forward. "My health is fine. That incident was a one-time event. According to your medical records, which you authorized the court to review during your initial custody hearings, you've been advised by 3 separate doctors to reduce stress and take medical leave. You've refused each time. I'm a single father running multiple companies. I can't just—" "Mr. Rhodes," Ms. Graves interrupts, "the court granted you full custody after your wife's passing because you demonstrated you could prioritize Ellie's needs. Recent events suggest otherwise." The lawyer interjects with legal arguments, but Evan barely hears them. A cold fear grips him, one far worse than any health scare: the possibility of losing Ellie. Later that evening, Evan's driver speeds through the city, taking him home. His mind races. He makes several angry phone calls, pulling every connection he has. When he arrives home, he's surprised to find Nora sitting with Ellie in the living room. They're building a model of the human heart together, laughing. "Ms. Bennett," Evan says tightly, "I wasn't aware you were visiting today." The housekeeper appears quickly. "Sir, Miss Ellie was very upset after school. She kept asking for Ms. Bennett. I took the liberty of calling her. I hope that was acceptable." Ellie runs to her father. "Daddy, Miss Nora is teaching me about hearts. Did you know yours has a special muscle that can get tired if you don't rest?" Evan's jaw clenches. He asks the housekeeper to take Ellie to the kitchen for a snack. Once they're alone, his composure shatters. "They're threatening to take her from me," he says, voice breaking. "Child welfare. They're questioning my fitness as a parent because of what happened at the gala." Nora's expression fills with concern. "Evan, I'm so sorry." But his grief quickly morphs to anger. "Is that why you keep showing up? Did they send you to evaluate me?" "What?" "No, first at the hospital, now here in my home. Always watching. Always judging how I parent my daughter." Nora stands. "That's not what this is, isn't it?" His voice rises. "You, with all your expertise on children and hearts and whatever else you claim to know, you think you understand my family? You think you know what's best for Ellie?" "I'm only trying to help." "Help?" Evan laughs bitterly. "Do you know what I've sacrificed to keep her safe after Sarah died? Do you know what it's like to hold your child while she cries for a mother who'll never come back? I've been everything for her, father, mother, protector for 2 years. I don't need anyone to tell me how to be a parent." "Evan," Nora says firmly, "this isn't about your parenting. It's about your health, about Ellie's fear of losing you." "What do you know about family?" he spits out, pain making him cruel. "You're just a stranger passing through our lives." The words land like a physical blow. Nora steps back, tears welling in her eyes. "You're right," she says quietly. "I am a stranger, but sometimes strangers see things that family can't." She gathers her belongings, moving toward the door. She pauses, turns back. "When you're ready to hear the truth instead of just your fear speaking, call me. Not for my sake, for Ellie's." After she leaves, Evan stands alone in his vast, empty living room. From the kitchen, he hears Ellie's voice. "Where did Miss Nora go?" The question hangs in the air unanswered. Late night in Evan's home office. Rain lashes against floor-to-ceiling windows. He sits in semi-darkness, a glass of whiskey untouched beside him. On his desk, Ellie's school photo, a picture of his late wife Sarah, and his medical records. His phone buzzes with urgent business messages. He ignores them. Instead, he types "Nora Bennett nurse whistleblower" into a search engine. Articles appear on screen. Top cardiac nurse files negligence report against Memorial Hospital. Whistleblower nurse dismissed after exposing patient safety. Concerns medical board vindicates nurse's claims 2 years too late. Evan reads intently, discovering that Nora's allegations were eventually proven correct, but only after she'd lost her specialized career and reputation. She declined settlement money, asking only that the hospital improve its safety protocols. A soft knock interrupts. His housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, appears at the door. "I'm sorry to disturb you, Mr. Rhodes, but Ellie had another nightmare. She's asking for Miss Bennett." Evan runs his hands over his face. I'll go to her. In Ellie's room, butterfly nightlights cast gentle shadows. She clutches Dr. Hartwell, eyes red from crying. Hey, princess, Evan sits beside her. I dreamed you fell down again, Daddy. But this time you didn't wake up just like Mommy. The words pierce Evan's heart. He pulls his daughter close. I'm right here, Ellie. I'm not going anywhere. But you work all the time, and your heart is tired. Miss Nora said hearts need rest too. Evan swallows hard. Did she now? Where did Miss Nora go? Did she leave like Mommy? The innocent question breaks something in Evan. For the first time since Sarah's death, he allows himself to truly feel the weight of his grief, his fear, his exhaustion. No, sweetheart, Miss Nora didn't leave forever. I said some things. That weren't very nice. You should say sorry, that's what you tell me to do out of the mouths of babes. Evan holds his daughter until she falls asleep, his mind made up. The next morning, Evan stands outside a community health clinic in a modest neighborhood, worlds away from his usual environments. He wears casual clothes instead of his customary suit. Inside, he asks for Nora. The receptionist looks surprised, but directs him to a small examination room where Nora is organizing supplies. She looks up, clearly shocked to see him. Mr. Rhodes. Evan, he corrects softly. Please. She waits, guarded. I owe you an apology, he begins. What I said was cruel and untrue. I was lashing out because I was scared. Nora's posture remains defensive. Scared of what? Of failing. Ellie, of losing her like I lost Sarah. Of admitting that I haven't been handling things as well as I pretended. He takes a deep breath, producing a folder from his jacket. I've made some decisions. I'm taking a 3-month medical leave from my companies. I've enrolled in a stress management program and a support group for single parents. He holds out the folder to her. I've also set up regular checkups and promised to follow medical advice. It's all in writing, signed and witnessed, not because anyone is forcing me, but because I want to be there for Ellie's college graduation. Someday. Nora takes the folder cautiously. Why are you showing me this? Because you were right. About everything. And because... He hesitates, vulnerability showing through. Because Ellie needs you. You make her feel safe in a way I haven't been able to since Sarah died. Nora studies him carefully. And what exactly are you asking for? A second chance, he says simply. Not forgiveness yet, I haven't earned that, but a chance to prove I can change for Ellie, and maybe for myself too. Nora opens the folder, reviews the documents. Finally, she looks up, her expression softening slightly. Words are easy, Evan. Change is hard. He nods, accepting the challenge. I know. That's why I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to watch me prove it. A hint of a smile touches her lips. Actions over promises that I can respect. As he turns to leave, she calls after him. Evan, tell Ellie I'll come visit this weekend, if that's okay. The relief on his face speaks volumes. She'd like that. So would I. It takes courage to admit. When we're wrong, have you ever had to swallow your pride to fix a relationship? A series of moments unfold over the next 2 months. Evan sits in a circle of other parents at a support group. Initially uncomfortable, but gradually opening up about his struggles, balancing work and parenting. He takes Ellie to school himself, instead of sending her with the driver, joining other parents at drop-off, awkwardly trying to fit in. In his home gym, he works with a physical therapist on stress reduction exercises, learning to regulate his breathing during anxiety spikes. Nora visits on weekends, sometimes helping Ellie with science homework, sometimes just reading together. Evan watches from at a distance, slowly joining their activities. At a medical checkup, Dr. Anderson reviews Evan's improved vitals. Your blood pressure is down, stress markers are improving. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. Evan and Ellie create a worry box where she can place notes about things that scare her. Each night, they review them together. One note reads, I'm afraid you'll start working all the time again. In his home office, Evan stares at his phone as his COO urgently requests his input on a major decision. After consideration, he types, I trust your judgment. Handle it. Family time is non-negotiable now. Nora arrives one day to find Evan and Ellie baking cookies, badly. Flour covers the kitchen, they're laughing. Evan looks up, catching Nora's eye. Something warm passes between them. Over dinner one evening, with Nora present, Ellie asks innocently, "Miss Nora, do you have a family?" A moment of awkward silence. Nora smiles slightly. "I have my patients, and some very dear friends." "But no kids," Ellie persists. "Ellie," Evan cautions gently. "It's okay," Nora assures him. "No, Ellie, I don't have children of my own." "Why not? You'd be a really good mom." Nora's expression flickers with something like longing. Sometimes life takes unexpected turns, but that doesn't mean it can't still be beautiful. Later, after Ellie is in bed, Evan and Nora sit on the balcony with cups of tea. "You never talk about your family," Evan observes carefully. Nora gazes at the city lights. "There's not much to tell. My parents died when I was in nursing school. No siblings." "I'm sorry. It's why I became a cardiac nurse, actually. My father died of a heart attack that could have been prevented with better care." Evan watches her profile in the dim light. "Is that also why you risked everything to report that negligence case?" She meets his gaze. "We all have lines we won't cross. That was mine." "I admire that," he says softly. "Standing by your principles no matter the cost." "What about you?" she asks. "What's your line?" "I thought it was protecting Ellie. But I've realized protection isn't enough. She needs me present, not just providing." Nora smiles genuinely. "You've changed, Evan Rhodes." "Thanks to you." "No," she corrects him. "You did the work. I just pointed out the door." Their hands rest on the table, inches apart but not touching, a distance closing gradually at its own perfect pace. 6 months after the Gala collapse, Ellie's school auditorium bustles with excitement. It's the annual talent show, and Ellie will perform a piano piece she's been practicing for weeks. Backstage, she peeks nervously through the curtain. "What? If I mess up, Daddy?" Evan kneels to her level. "Then you'll keep going, just like we talked about. Remember, what matters isn't being perfect. It's being brave enough to try." "Is Miss Nora here yet?" "She's saving our seats." "She wouldn't miss your big moment for anything." Ellie hugs him tightly. "I'm glad you're not working tonight." "Nothing is more important than this," he promises. In the audience, Nora checks her watch. Evan should have returned from backstage by now. The show is about to begin. Her phone buzzes with a text from Evan. "Need help, backstage right corner." Alarmed, she hurries through the crowded auditorium to the backstage area. In a quiet corner, she finds Evan seated on a chair, face pale, breathing labored. "Evan, what's wrong?" "Chest tight," he manages. "Don't want to scare Ellie." Nora immediately switches to nurse mode, checking his pulse, loosening his collar. "How long?" "Started during meeting today. Thought it was just stress." "I'm calling an ambulance," she says firmly. "No," he grabs her wrist. "Ellie's performance. Can't miss it. This could be a heart attack, Evan. We're not taking chances." As she calls emergency services, Evan's condition deteriorates. His breathing becomes more labored. Pain intensifies. The school principal approaches. "Is everything okay? The show's starting." Nora makes a split-second decision. "Mr. Rhodes is having a medical emergency. Please don't tell Ellie yet. Let her perform first. We have help coming." Emergency services arrive discreetly through a side entrance. As they stabilize Evan for transport, he clutches Nora's hand. "Tell Ellie. I'm so proud." "Tell her yourself," Nora insists, fighting tears. "This isn't where your story ends." From the auditorium comes applause, then piano music. Ellie's performance has begun. "Go," Evan whispers. "Watch her for me." Nora rushes to the auditorium, standing in the back as Ellie plays beautifully. She records the performance on her phone, tears streaming down her face. When Ellie finishes to enthusiastic applause, Nora meets her backstage and gently explains that her father has been taken to the hospital. "But he promised he'd watch me." Ellie says, confused and hurt. "He did watch, sweetheart, and he will see this again." Nora shows her the recording. "But right now, your daddy needs us to be brave. Can you do that?" Ellie nods solemnly, taking Nora's hand. At the hospital, Tests confirm Evan has suffered a minor heart attack, a culmination of years of stress and neglect, despite recent improvements. Hours later, he wakes in a hospital room to find Ellie curled, up asleep in a chair beside him and Nora standing vigil. "Have you recorded it?" he asks weakly, noticing his phone on the bedside table. Nora nods. Every perfect note. Evan's eyes fill with tears. "I almost missed it anyway, after everything." "But you didn't," Nora says firmly. "You were there, Evan. You've been there every day for months now. One setback doesn't erase that progress. The doctors said if this had happened a year ago, before I started making changes—" "But it didn't," she interrupts, "because you did change, and now you'll keep healing." Carefully, mindful of his IV, Evan reaches for her hand. "I almost lost everything tonight. Looking at Ellie, at you, I realized something." "What's that?" Nora asks softly. "I'm not afraid anymore, not of slowing down, not of asking for help, not of—" He hesitates. "Not of loving again." Nora's breath catches. They look at each other in perfect understanding before both glancing at Ellie. "One day at a time," Nora says gently. "We're not going anywhere. Sometimes it takes a health scare to realize what truly matters in life. Has a crisis ever changed your perspective?" 1 year later, a small beach house with a wraparound porch overlooking the ocean, simple, peaceful, nothing like Evan's former penthouse. Evan sits in a rocking chair, reviewing papers, not business documents, but a children's book manuscript. Titled Dr. Hartwell's Big Adventure, with Ellie listed as co-author. Nora emerges from the house carrying 2 mugs of tea. She hands one to Evan, then settles in the adjacent chair. A simple engagement ring gleams on her finger. "How's the patient information brochure coming along?" she asks, gesturing to another stack of papers. "Almost done. The Foundation wants to distribute it to all 5 medical centers next month." The Rhodes Foundation has shifted focus under Evan's direction, now primarily funding cardiac care in underserved communities with a special emphasis on preventative education. Evan is no longer CEO of his companies. He serves as chairman of the board, working limited hours while co-directing the foundation with Nora. Down on the beach, Ellie plays with a small puppy, her laughter carrying on the breeze. "She seems happier than ever," Nora observes. "We all are," Evan replies, taking her hand. "I never thought I'd say this, but collapsing on that stage was the best thing that ever happened to me." Nora raises an eyebrow. "Better than our engagement?" He laughs. A close second. A comfortable silence falls between them as they watch Ellie running along the shoreline. "Any regrets?" Nora asks. "About stepping back from the business world?" Evan considers the question thoughtfully. "I spent years building a hotel empire so guests could feel at home away from home. Ironic that I never made time to create an actual home for myself and Ellie." He squeezes Nora's hand. "The only thing I regret is how long it took me to realize what really matters." Ellie runs up the beach steps with the puppy, breathless and happy. "Mom, Dad, can we have dinner on the beach tonight, please?" Nora and Evan exchange a glance at Ellie's casual use of mom, a recent and precious development. "I think that sounds perfect," Nora smiles. As Ellie runs back to the shore, Evan pulls Nora closer, kissing her temple gently. "You know," he says, "for a cardiac nurse, you're pretty good at fixing broken hearts. Even CEOs," she teases. "Especially CEOs," he confirms, "though I prefer recovering workaholic now." Together they watch the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors, a family rebuilt from unexpected pieces, stronger at the broken places. The camera pulls back slowly, framing the 3 figures against the vast ocean, a visual metaphor for the journey from isolation to connection, from crisis to healing, from surviving to truly living. Sometimes, the narrator concludes, our greatest strength isn't in standing alone, but in allowing ourselves to be caught when we fall. Thank you so much for watching The Heart of a CEO. We hope this story touched your heart and reminded you of what truly matters in life.
I hope you enjoyed this thrilling journey. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? Let me know in the comments below. Your feedback inspires more epic tales.